Welcome back. Now, South Africa has appointed curators of the South African Pavilion at an upcoming global architectural exhibition. The Biennale Architecture will be held in Venice in Italy from May through November this year. Co-Curator of the South African Pavilion is Dr. Sechaba Maape. He joins us now. Doctor, thank you for being with us. It sounds very exciting, and I mean, Venice is just buzzing with tourists, so a lot of people will see this, hopefully. What does it achieve for you and for South Africa?
Well, I think the main thing is that we want to present some of the most cutting-edge ideas about architecture to the world. So myself and the two other curators, Dr. Emmanuel Nkambula and Mr. Stephen Stein from TUT, have decided that we want to present some iconic architectural, discoveries from South Africa. For example, the Bokoni Rock, which is a stone that is from Mpumalanga, from the region of Bokoni, that depicts something that looks like architectural drawings on a rock, engraved on a rock, which means that here in Africa, we've been making those kind of depictions long before they were introduced to us by colonization. But there are many other things that we're planning on showing at the Venice Biennale.
And I want to ask you more about what it'll look like. But again, what does it achieve for the country? Is this an attempt to get more people to come to our platform and put South Africa on the map in terms of architecture?
Yes, the thing is, for the Venice Biennale is really a place where, if you can imagine, the latest in thought in architecture is presented there. And so we need to have a voice as South Africa. The Biennale is entitled The Laboratories of the Future, which is really talking about Africa. So it's the first time in the history of the Biennale that it's going to be, the theme is Africa. And so we need to be there, South Africa, to represent our ideas of what architecture ought to be, so that other people are not the ones who are dictating or who are setting the agenda and the discourse of architecture, so that we then ultimately end up having to adopt those things. So we're there to go and put our voices forward as South Africa and as Africa, and to try and map out what this future of Africa would be, as far as, I mean, as you know, architecture is so central in terms of development, in terms of infrastructure. Yeah. And so we're there to also put forward what our voice in terms of what that future ought to be.
All right, so let's go back. I mean, it's so interesting about the Bokoni people, and I understand that women are weaving something beautiful, and there will also be some interaction. So tell us how it all works and how that links to the future.
Okay, so the title of our pavilion is The Structure of the People, and what we're actually doing is that same Bokoni rock. So we're going to actually have a rock that is going to be a replica of one of the Bokoni rocks, because we don't want to take the actual rock back to Europe. As you know, in colonization, many of our artifacts were taken there. So as an ethical approach, we've decided to take a replica and also digital replicas. And so a person will be able to experience through augmented reality, which is going to be in the context of a woven artifact. That's just one small element of what we'll be doing. This woven artifact really talks to the way in which we want to involve other people from our country. So it's going to be made by local women from South Africa. This woven artifact, that's going to be the context in which this digital exhibition of this Bokoni research is going to be contextualized. But the reason we've called it The Structure of the People is because that Bokoni rock is not just depicting an architectural drawing or a settlement. In actual fact, more importantly, is that researchers are saying that it's a depiction of communities, or it's a depiction of the relationship between people. So, you know, for instance, I'm from Kuruman, from a small township called Mutivistat. And I like to imagine if I was one of the people who was depicting what is depicted on that rock, I would think to myself, oh, mo kintlo ya ga Makgwarai, mo kintlo ya ga Mastafi, mo kintlo ya ga Makenjeruba, mo ke ya ga Majele. So in other words, someone who actually knows the community, and instead of depicting architecture as though it's objects, just walls and whatever, they're depicting and creating this diagram of architectural space through the relationship of people. And we want to take that philosophy and take it to Venice to present that as one way in which we can influence the ideas in architecture.
Yeah. Beautifully articulated. So now you have our interest. What if South Africans like me aren't traveling to Venice this year? Very quickly.
Yes, so we obviously would like this to come back to South Africa. The aim is to bring the pavilion back to South Africa. We want to see it as a living entity. So we wanted to go there to share whatever it's going to share and bring it back here so that the art, the exhibition, and everything else will be shared in a kind of continuation of the life of this exhibition. So we are actually very thankful to the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture for being so thoughtful in accepting these kind of ideas that we brought to them, because it's quite cutting edge things that one wouldn't expect to usually be brought into these platforms. Information and ideas that have to do with indigenous knowledge systems. And so we will hopefully, through their assistance, bring it back to South Africa so everyone else can enjoy it.
All right, so we have to wait until November or after that, but so look forward to that. Co-Curator of the South African Pavilion at the Biennale Architecture 2023, Dr. Sechaba Maape.